So the five elements of Monroe's motivated sequence is the first one was attention, which means like you have to get somebody's attention with your presentation. Probably like a strong claim is usually a good way to do that. I know in the slides outlined, I think 4 different types of good claims. And the second element that you really need is the need, just because it kind of shows why your problem is a problem, not really just like describing the problem, but kind of showing how like affects people and like how it's a real issue that needs to be solved or addressed, or just kind of like a sense of urgency or sense of connection to the problem. And then the next element is satisfaction, which is like what's the solution and how am I going to accomplish it, and it's like a good clear step-by-step plan of the solution. Even if its solution may be complex, it's good to have like some feeling for the audience so you don't just feel really hopeless. They can't just be like, oh, this is a problem and it's horrible and there's nothing we can do about it and you're all doomed. Like, you want to be like, hey, here's what you can do to help with this problem. Here's what you can do to, kind of work past the problem, I guess. And the next point is visualization. That was a hard one. At this point, this is like your audience should be engaged and understand the problem. Next step is like kind of show them the problem and illustrate it for them. So like paint a picture in their mind, and then they can think like, oh, I remember when I saw that problem, or oh yeah, it's been like this. And you can kind of visualize a problem. There's a fly going around. But you can kind of like connect to a problem and like personally understand it versus just words coming at your audience. Your audience will be able to get a clear picture of everything that's going on. And then the last thing that you need is a call to action, which is kind of similar to an essay, which is like, you need to do this right now, like, we can do this, like for, like, plastic straws, like, you need to get a metal straw, like, that type of thing, like, call people to action, show them something they can do, and tell them how they can do it, and then call them to do it, basically, like, those last few words of motivation, like that, kind of like a locker room speech call to action type of thing. So those are the 5 parts for the Monroe's motivated sequence. And then which elements did I notice? I think I definitely noticed attention. At the start, she talks about how she lost 3 people that are close to her. I feel like that would bring anyone's attention in, and you start to feel some sort of emotional connection to her just because you feel a little bit of her pain. And then need, I definitely think she illustrated why it was a problem by the severity of what had happened, or personal story illustrating like how common it was. And then also really good thing she did for the need part was that story with her coworker and kind of showing, and then it also goes into satisfaction, just showing how her coworker changed and our coworker like acknowledged her bias, acknowledged that was wrong, and moved past it. And it kind of shows you like, hey, get over your bias and your, in this case, Islamophobia. And I think that was definitely part of satisfaction. I don't know if she continued past that to elaborate into more satisfaction, but that's only like really concrete example for that. And then visualization, when she like went through the kind of like police report of the crime scene and like said how like you just executed them, and then like visualizing from her perspective on these news stories a day after your brother was killed. Like, to me, that was immediately, I just felt for her and kind of visualized the problem and saw why it was so serious. Because it's obviously something that I've seen in the news 100 times, but now hearing it from her, an actual victim of it, I feel like it makes the issue a lot more concrete. And then she did have a pretty good call to action. I feel like it could have been slightly better, but I do think it was still really good at the end, when she kind of like laid out what you can do and why you should do it. But I do think that their call of action probably wasn't as good as her visualization. They're both great, but I do think that usually you want your call of action to be your best part, the most memorable part of the speech. But for me, the most memorable part is definitely her describing the crime scene, which I feel like I guess you couldn't do a call to action. It's more powerful than that, but that was just a little thing. And then, what were the most persuasive elements? So yeah, most persuasive elements were definitely the personal story, especially just the nature of the story. Like, I don't see anyone couldn't be moved by that. The story of her coworker having her own biases and acting like blatantly Islamophobic towards her, and then moving past that, I feel like her coworker able to come around kind of shows like, hey, even if you have these bad beliefs, you can come around. And I feel like that was really persuasive. And then just her whole tone and how she started to show emotion during emotional parts, but still kept delivering and like didn't completely break down, but did let some emotion come out, which is obviously really helpful for persuasion. Well, yeah, I think that's it.